This is a four voice at 2:20 for 10 minutes. Okay. And do they come sit down in your office? No, they didn't sit. They stood. One stood on one side of the office and the other stood on the other and asked me. It was a strange experience. It wasn't a conversation. They were asking questions. Okay. And what kind of questions were they asking? Similar to the type of questions you're asking me, fact finding questions, what happened, where were you, who was out there, who did it. They were directing me. They obviously had something to find out, and they have a specific way of doing it, so I answered everything. Okay, how long? Strike that. Were you speaking with both officers? In the beginning I was. Then they asked me to walk outside with them and show them where it had happened, and one officer was very young. The officer looked like in years senior and in job senior, and they both asked me questions. Where were you standing? What were you doing? What had happened? And when I answered them, I was answering both of them. And finally, the senior officer said, "That's enough," and told the junior officer, who appeared to be the junior officer, stop. He wanted to ask all the questions. Okay. And then they dismissed me, told me to go back and sit down. Okay. Do you recall either of their names? No, I don't. If it's important, I might have. No, I don't want you to. Okay. Okay. I believe you supplied me with some type of copy of a police report. Uh-huh. You've seen this document before, correct? Yes. Okay. And did you obtain this yourself? Yes. And when did you obtain the police report? I don't know. I don't recall. I requested it and they sent it through the mail. Okay. It took a very long time to come through the mail. Okay. It has here Officer Benge, Benge. Does that name sound familiar? No, it doesn't. Okay. And Officer Distor, Distor. Does that name sound familiar? No. Okay. You wouldn't be able to tell me who was the junior and who was the senior then, correct? I seem to think the junior officer also was. He was about 5'6" or thereabouts. Okay, well, the senior officer then says that's enough, and then he starts directing questions at you alone. That's correct. Okay, and do you recall any of these questions he's asking you at this point? Not specifically. They were questions like, where were you standing? What had happened? Did he do this? Was he alone? Okay, and at this point, are you standing with the two officers in the middle of the driveway? Yes, right where it had happened. Do you know where your employees are at this point? They were working. Do you know if they were kind of standing, staring, or around? Or no, I remember looking. I wanted to see if there was attention, and they were working. Okay. And I was surprised that Mandy was in the office too, because I know he was very upset. Okay. And did you look over? Did you see David? No, I purposely didn't look toward David. I just looked at the officers. Did you see any employees of David standing around there? I didn't notice. Okay. And so how long is this conversation in the middle of the driveway there? 10 minutes. Okay. How long was the conversation inside the office? About 10 minutes. Okay, so they talk to you for 10 minutes inside the office, and then they walk out with you to the middle of the driveway and have another conversation for approximately 10 minutes, correct? I think that would be the amount of time, very short amount of time. Okay, and how's this conversation conclude? That conversation concluded by them telling me, asking me, are you okay? Do you need an ambulance? No, I don't need an ambulance. Or do you need paramedics? I said no, and they told me to go back in and sit down, which I did. Okay, so you went back into the office and sat down in my desk chair. Yes. Okay. Can you see outside at this point? No. Okay. Do you know where the officers went after that? I assumed they went to talk to David. Okay. You did not see them talk to David, correct? No. Did you see the officers leave? No, they did not leave. After they spoke to him, then they came back over to my office. Okay. Talk to me, ask me a couple of questions. Well, let me ask you this. How long were you sitting in your office after the officers directed to? It seemed like a long time, and I'm sure it wasn't. I don't know. At that point, I was completely unnerved by police and what had happened. Okay, not long. And do both the police come back into your office? No, one of them had come back and asked me a couple of questions. Which was that, the junior or senior officer? I don't recall. Okay, and do you recall what they asked you the second time they came in? I don't remember. I just remember the question was similar to a couple of questions they had already asked me, and he left my office real quickly. It sounded as though he heard something that he either expected to hear or was important, and he left through the back door, went to talk to the other officer, and then they both came back over to see me. Okay. And then they asked me if they said, we have enough information? Would you like us to arrest him? Okay. And what do you tell them? And I hedged for a moment. They asked me the question again. I thought about it real hard. And then I said, I think it's important that we do. Go ahead. Okay. And then you're in the office at this point. Yes. They're standing in your office. Yes. Okay. And so you said, I think it's important, or something to that effect. I did say that. I think it's important. Go ahead. It was my way of apologizing to them for the time that it would take. What happens next? I then looked out the window. They left, didn't tell me what was going on. So I looked out the back window at an angle, and I saw that they had already put him in the back of their car, or they were putting him in the back of their car. He was already 3/4 of the way in, and he was pleading through the window at me, please don't let them do this. And geez, and I just kind of backed away from the window, let them do what they do. Okay, did David see you when you're looking out the window? Probably. Okay, what did you do after that? What did I do? Yes, sat for a moment and I went home. Okay, went home and lay down on the couch. Okay, and when you got home, any part of your body hurting? I had an achy right leg, and I decided to go to sleep early, about 7 o'clock. Well, what time do you get home that day? Oh boy, maybe 1:30, approximately 1:30, early enough to still catch Oprah. Okay, so you get home. I object. You get home, you're laying on the couch. Uh-huh. Do you take any aspirin or anything? No, no. And put ice on your knee? No. Okay. You're laying on your couch, and how long did you make any stop from when you left the AMCO till when you got home? Nope. I went right home. You lay down? Yes. And do you just, how long? You're watching TV, I assume? No, just laying there and in the quiet. Okay. And how long are you laying there? About 2.5 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. And is your knee still bothering you? It started to. My knee and I don't know what you call here, my lower back started to feel a little, it was feeling tender. It was hurting me. Okay. Which is uncharacteristic of me. So what do you do at that point? So I gave it another hour or so and thought, now it's time to go to the hospital, okay, to see what's up. And so at this point, it's you get home at 1:30 after you're laying there, and you're laying there probably 3 hours, 4 hours, right? That's about right. About maybe 5:30, about dinner time. Okay. And you decide, I'm going to go to the hospital now. Yes. Okay. And why do you decide you're going to go to the hospital at that point? Because I had just been hit by a car and something hurt. And the earlier you figure injuries out, if you have injuries, the better off you'll be. So I went to St. Joseph's Hospital emergency room, and did you drive yourself? Yes. And they were packed. What time do you get to the emergency room? I remember it being around dinner time. I hadn't had dinner, and I guess 7:30 or thereabouts. They were packed with that, I guess, is a Friday night rush. I didn't realize they had rush times. Okay. And at this point, your knee is bothering you, correct? Yes, my knee definitely was bothering me. And from 1 to 10, what do you think? 4 or 5. So your knee, actually the pain was increasing a bit. It was the pain, and it felt like weakness in my back that was frightening me. Okay, and that was the lower back. Yes, yeah. On either side, or just my lower back. I don't know. Okay, lower back. And what do you think that pain was on 1 to 10? 3. Okay. How long do you think you have to wait until you see someone at the hospital? Well, they told me it would be about 4 hours, and I thought, I'm not going to wait 4 hours. If something's wrong, I could go home and accomplish the same thing. So I asked the fellow if there were any other. I asked, who is the competition? Is there another place for emergency? He said, not on a Friday night. He said, go to our urgent care center in the morning. Do you know who told you that? It was some intake fellow, a young fellow at the front desk. And I asked him, no chance to get in? He asked, what happened? he said, no, I'm sorry, because there was some obviously very, very sick people there. Okay, do you have insurance? Then I don't think so. I think I was between Kaiser and my regular insurance. Okay. So this gentleman told you to go to the urgent care center in the morning then? Right. Okay. And did you go home? Yes, I went home and I went to sleep. Did you eat at all during the day? I always eat 3 meals a day, and I don't recall if I ate dinner that night. Okay, and lunch? I don't recall. Okay, and what do you do when you get home? Then I went to sleep. I went home and got into bed and went to sleep. Okay, because earlier I think you were, before we got to, okay, and that was 4 voice, my friends. Very good. Good workout. Okay. Oh, I need to turn the recording off.